So now we have poem 1129. The numbers were given by editors based on the number of poems, some 1,700 poems. But we refer to this one as by its first line, tell all the truth, but tell it slant. And I'm going to read it in a kind of exaggerated way, and you tell me what you're hearing, okay? Tell all the truth, but tell it slant, success in circuit lies. Too bright for our infirm delight, the truth superb surprise. As lightning to the children ease, with explanation kind, the truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. Anna, what do you hear?
It's a ballad.
It's a ballad. It's a ballad. And what kind of ballad? I mean, tell me about the meter.
Well, there's 4 beats, 4 stress beats in the first line. 3 in the second, and then 4.
4-3, 4-3. 4-3, and then tell the truth must dazzle gradually. Has 4, but you have to really torque it. The truth must dazzle gradually. Right.
It's kind of, I mean, it wouldn't really be a Dickinson.
For every man be blind. Is it rhymed?
Well, okay, in the first stanza, lies and surprise are rhymed.
Okay, that's B rhyme. So it's A, B, C, B.
Yep, and then in this second stanza, the same thing, kind, blind.
Eased, kind, gradually blind. So the B rhymes go, and that's typical of ballads. Rarely do you get A, B, A, B, but you can do that. Slant and delight don't rhyme. Slant and delight don't rhyme.
Sort of a slant.
It's sort of a slant rhyme.
Wow.
Slant rhyme, and the word is slant. So slant is not only going to have a connotation with truth, it's going to have a connotation with form, with poetic form. Right. Where do we get ballads? Really quickly, there are 3 places in life where we hear ballads. Not so much anymore, but in the old days. Max, what's one?
In the pub.
A pub. Why, by the way? Why do pubs specialize, especially British, Welsh, Irish, Scottish?
Because they're easy.
Do we sing in American pubs?
No.
Not really. No. What kind of people sing in British pubs? I don't mean kind, but you know, what have they done? Where have they come from?
Football games.
Football games. Soccer.
Soccer.
Right. And why ballads good in bars?
They're easy to sing. Everyone
Easy
can
to
sing
sing
along.
and easy to remember. Now, if you've been drinking a lot, this is not bourbon, but let's just pretend it is. If you've been drinking a lot, you grab your mug. Right? Tell all the truth, but tell it slant, success in circuit lies, too bright for our... Okay, so ballads are memorable, and the ballad is easy in that sense. Orally easy. Okay, where else do we have ballads?
Nursery rhymes.
Nursery rhymes, right? Nursery rhymes. Anybody want to do a nursery rhyme that's an A-B, 4-3-4-3? Put you on the spot. All right, we'll come back to that. And there's a third place where we get ballads.
Church.
In church, hymns are often ballads. Okay, I'm not sure that any of that has to do with this, but we're going to find out in the second stanza that it does, but that's the way teaching is. You sort of say something and then it comes back. All right, this poem makes a contention, and it's in the first 2 lines, and I'm going to ask you if you agree with it personally. To the extent that Emily Dickinson's poem is saying that we should tell truth in a slanted way, rather than in a... Allie?
Roundabout way.
Yes, in a roundabout way, rather than in a... Direct way. The opposite of slant is direct, right? Yeah, Emily? Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies. I'm going to ask you to try to understand what that line means. Success in circuit lies. Circuit, Emery's?
Come at it in a roundabout way, an oblique way. It's
Circuit.
strange because...
Circumlocutiously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a circuit. What else? Allie, a circuit?
Well, kind of systematically.
System, it has a connotation of system. Good, exactly. Molly, circuit?
I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay, Anna, circuit? Not in Emily's time, but in ours.
I mean, circuit could also be like, this is a little bit anachronistic, but electricity. Electric circuits.
I don't know if that's anachronistic. We still need circuits. You can't actually complete an electric conduit without a circuit. Once you break the circuit, you don't have it. It's anachronistic because it's been since middle school or grade school that you build a circuit.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, that's it. Okay, but teaching children is important in this poem. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. She insists that success lies in roundaboutness, in going around. Success. Let's quickly understand what success means. Dave.
Well, I think circuit also implies something that takes more effort. and success, she's saying, is actually learning the truth and understanding. And success comes from putting more work into it.
Emily, when your family says success, Emily, we hope you'll be a success. What do they mean?
Achievement, accomplishment.
Can you be a little more crass?
I could. I'm just trying to figure out how.
Okay, Allie, when the Castlemans say, Allie, we want you to be a success, this liberal arts stuff is making us nervous.
Find some way to make money.
Money, success. Does Emily mean that, do you think?
No.
Except, maybe ironically she does. But I don't think she's being ironic here. Okay, so now we are ready. We're going to go around, and each one of you is going to tell each other, us, whether you agree with Emily Dickinson on this. You personally, as valuable as that will be. Okay? Amaris, tell all the truth, but tell it slant, success, and circuit life. She's making a contention here. Do you agree with the contention?
Yes, I agree because, it seems paradoxical because it's like she presupposes that there exists a total and absolute truth, and I disagree with that.
Oh, you're being fancy. Oh, you're disagreeing because theoretically it's not sophisticated enough. Wow.
Well, I'm saying that
That's
she's
not,
coming
I
at
should have
that
done
with-
you last. Okay, Emily, do you agree with the contention? We should tell truth gradually, carefully.
I do. It seems
really
to
do, don't
underpin
you?
all types of literary arts to tell it indirectly.
So really, it's the artful, aesthetic thing to do, not to tell the truth directly. Now, I believe that Walt Whitman and a number of other people who are Whitmanian in this course are going to disagree, at least nominally. They want the direct truth. They want to tell the blab of the pave. They want everything. They want everything. At the very end of our course, Kenny Goldsmith is going to include everything. So there's no essential selection and there's no slanted truth. It's just whatever is. So where this is going to take us, Dave?
I agree.
You agree? Wow, I would think you'd be a kind of direct kind of guy. So we should tell kids, as lightning to the children ease with explanation kind, we shouldn't tell kids about lightning. What about the third rail? Should we tell them about the third rail?
I think there are things that...
Don't you think it would be cruel not to tell them about the third rail? The third rail, that was when Zeus was having a bad day, and he made this nice, extra rail, but the train doesn't ride on it. But I wish you leave Zeus alone. Then your kid touches and Santa.
Let's talk about
Oh
Santa.
yeah, where did the gifts come from? You're advocating this kind of bullshit mythology?
Not to that extent. I think there are things that you can tell people just by giving them the facts that won't resonate, but it will resonate if they can think it through and come upon that fact on their own.
Alan, what's your thought?
Well, I agree.
You agree too. Everybody agrees.
I also think that it's important that
Except for
I think-
Amaris, who's got a theoretical problem.
I think she's kind of toying with the notion of being able to tell someone the truth and have that be the way that they kind of
interesting.
inherit it.
So you're thinking of the word tell, and that's, I've been teaching this poem for so many years and I've never actually focused on tell. Can you do a little more with that?
Well, I think, on one hand, we've been focusing on the best way to understand the truth. But I also think it's easier for, let's say, a parent to kind of embellish something that might be hard to understand. So that kind of, is in a way a cop-out for them, so that makes it easier. But I also think that she's kind of saying, no matter what we tell, that might be a futile act, because truth might not be able to be understood through a secondhand experience.
Wow, you said so much there. I can only respond to one of those points, which is that I think on my best days, I disagree with this as much as I respect the aesthetic that Emily's reminding us that it's associated with, and respect Amaris's theoretical problem with the notion of all the truth. But I think that there's implicitly a parental condescension in this, the speaker of this poem telling us that some people, and she's not only talking about children, I don't think Emily Dickinson is thinking about actual children. She might be. But she's, her parental has to be metaphorical here. And it turns out that we, the readers of the poem, are children if, in fact, the poem is not delivering us the truth. It's slanted it for us. And I feel a little left out, like the guy standing outside the House of Possibility and not able to get in. I feel a little left out. I'm kind of sad, actually. So all you guys agreed Anna?
I disagree.
Oh my goodness, we
I
have a
do.
disagreement.
Well, my problem with this is that, like, and there's kind of two ways to go about this. There's the way of, if me and my roommates are getting ready to go out, and I say, hey, does this shirt look good on me? And they say, oh yeah, it looks great, but it actually looks awful.
But it actually looks awful.
Yeah, I would rather know. So that's problem A I have with this. Problem B.
The problem with your analogy, of course, is that she's talking about
I'm
superb
gonna get there,
surprise, dazzling. I mean, I don't think the shirt situation.
I'm going to get there.
All right.
Well, let's think about, I've taken a class with you that's on the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And
Oh, the Trump card is coming. The Holocaust.
Well, but it's not just that. But you could think of any disaster. If you
Disaster. Yeah.
if you don't talk about it, and if you don't tell children about it, they don't know about it.
Well, but the problem with that, since we're on to disaster and genocide, the problem with that is that if the truth dazzles not gradually, if it just comes on you like a thunderclap, you are so alienated and so unable to cope that there's a kindness in delivering it gradually. I don't mean Steven Spielberg gradually or circumlocutiously, but I mean thoughtfully delivering all the truth. Wow, I seem to be coming to the other side by your coming to the other
Well,
side.
thoughtfulness doesn't necessarily need to be circumnavigation. I think there's a little more nuance.
Nice, okay. Thank you. Molly, your thought?
I think that it's sleazy but effective. It
Did you
reminds
say
me.
sleazy?
Yes, I said sleazy. This mode, not the poem, but this mode of telling the truth. It reminds me of a politician, sort of circumnavigating the question and sort of slipping in bits of truth without the
Wow.
whole picture.
The
So
economy is fun.
it can be very.
Emily, how's this thing with lightning? Well, let me say this about that. I've been thinking a lot about that. We will have a position on that very soon, and I'll have to think a little more about my position on that. Really?
Like it works, but I hate it.
Wow. Max, wrap this up somehow.
Well, I don't think that, I agree with Emily Dickinson, and I don't think that she's advocating dishonesty the way that Molly and Anna seem to suggest, because she does, after all, say to tell all the truth in the end. And I don't think that the slantedness or the circuit necessarily means to dance around it in a dishonest way or disingenuous way, but rather it seems to me the difference between, to go with the metaphor of circuits and lights and lightning here, the difference between a harsh light on something, which would be blinding, and a softer light, which allows you to actually see. And so
Interesting.
I agree with her.
Amaris, your theoretical qualm?
I think it's interesting because you brought up Whitman before, but I think a main difference that I have to point out is that Dickinson was a woman at the period, and
After.
her
Before.
exactly, and her personal experience wouldn't have had any authority at the time. So she lends herself a sort of authority by speaking in these vague abstractions, whereas Whitman would have been able to expose
So
himself
it's sort of
entirely.
easier. Oh, this is really interesting. So it's in a gendered way, it's easier, and in a who can be official poet, although Whitman was never really an official poet until the very end. It's easier for the male Whitman to assert a theory of direct communication. And Emily is saying that given the circumstances of truth-telling that I have, the telling, I think that's so important here, this is what I must do, and this is success for me. And success would be deeply ironized because it's success of essentially self-publication, success of reticence, the success of indoorsness, right? The success of agoraphobia is circuit. I just want to conclude by thinking about what success in circuit could possibly mean. So again, if this is the X, this is the thing that one wants to refer to, the world. And a word is kind of moving along to find its circuit. You know, thing, cup, mug, I think is the word I'll use, right? Mug, M-U-G, mug, thump, it did it, success. Linguistic success is mug identifying this thing here. But actually what Dickinson is saying is that, you know, let's try moog. Moog. Let's try something other than cup. Let's try thirst. Let's try appetite. Or let's try the thing. Or let's try something else entirely. Let's take this problem of reference and refer to it as telling children about lightning. Not at night, dear sweetheart, that's just thunder and lightning, and it's running 120,000 volts through it, and if it strikes the house and the lightning rod isn't working, we'll all be burnt to a crisp. Good night. But rather, once upon a time, the gods were bowling, and thunder was the sound of the bowling alley, and the light was the signal that they had scored 300 or something like that. So a story gets told, a mythology gets created, and that's the way truth gets communicated, and that the kind of bluntness of directness is not only cruel but boring, finally. She's opting for something much more complicated.